Welcome to the Battle Buddy Podcast with Keith McKeever.
Welcome back to the Battle Buddy Podcast. I'm your host, Keith McKeever. Got Corey James with Freedom Paws Service Dogs with me. Welcome, Corey.
Hey, thanks, Keith. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to finally have you on. I think so far in 50-something episodes that I've put out, I think you're the second local guest I've had.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
Guest number one, we were talking about him earlier, Jeff Sykes. He talked a lot about his service dog and how his dog's, really, he's on his third dog, Wrigley, now, and how all three of his dogs have been really beneficial to him at different points in his life and his journey. So
absolutely,
it's he's got a great story. So anybody who's listening to this, you should definitely go back and listen to episode 1. And I think that really paints a good picture as to the impact of the service dogs.
Absolutely.
So, but before we get started, just tell us a little bit about your military story.
Yeah, sure. My military story, I joined the Air Force of August 1998. Did that till about October 2007. 3 deployments, spent a year in Korea, all that stuff. And then I got out and came right back to the Guard on, I think the program was Palace Front or Palace
Chase, I think.
It's one of the, I knew it was one of them, but I basically, there was no break in service. I joined the Air Guard before I left active duty. So, and then I did that till about October 2013.
Had to be a completely different experience then, coming off active duty and coming back here to Victoria.
It was a lot different. It was definitely culture shock. It really was. But
does surprise me. I know when I was stationed at Scott Air Force Base, we had a lot of Guard and Reserve there.
Oh, sure.
When those guys would kind of come around on their weekends or whatever, and we had some guys that were active Guard, active Reserve, like that. It's just different. And culture is different.
It is. I'm not saying I liked one better than the other. I thought they were I liked them both, but they were just different.
Yeah. It would be interesting to be more on a first name basis. I don't think it was that much, from my perspective anyway, because we were both Air Force security forces. So like a little different than the rest of the Air Force anyway. Sometimes you see the rest of the Air Force go on first name basis and stuff like that. It wasn't really like that active duty.
It wasn't.
But I see those Guard guys were kind of like that a little bit from time to time.
I'll speak for the 182nd out of Peoria. I can tell you right now, none of that stuff happens with any of those cops. It's very strict. It's still, I still have friends out there. It's still, we were held to a higher standard kind of thing, and they still promote that out there. I mean, they're a bunch of great guys. Yeah,
that's always pounded into your heads, isn't it? Yeah. From day one in tech school.
Yeah, well, I kind of had the same thought as you. I thought I'm going to leave active duty and go Guard because I deployed with some Guard guys, and I were like, that's kind of more I think that'd be really nice. And then I got to the Guard, and I was like, oh wow, this might even be a little bit more intense than active duty was. That's no joke.
I guess I could see some reasons why, especially if you're not seeing everybody every day.
We had that. We had a lot.
Everybody's sharp and staying on top of things.
We had some of our chain of command was prior Army. You know what I mean? So you get some, and just their mentality is different. And I think it was a great thing. I wouldn't change anything, but I definitely thought I was coming from active duty to Guard and things would be kind of more chilled out. I guess that wasn't the case.
Have some more barbecues.
Right. Yeah.
Throwing around some first names.
Sure.
Absolutely. So, I know we talked about it a minute ago. You were not a canine handler when you were in, but you've got an interesting story about how you kind of got into dogs. So share that with us.
Yeah. So I get asked that a lot. I get asked, were you a canine handler in the military? No, I wasn't. My very first deployment was to Qatar, and
whatever.
Yeah, right. I know. Tomato.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So over there, I was standing on post one night. We were at the search pit, and a guy was out working his dog, and then he wanted to do some training right there on the spot. He asked if anybody would like to volunteer as a decoy, and most of the cops said no, we don't want to do that. And I thought it'd be pretty cool just to see, and I did that once, and pretty much after that, kind of had the bite. So yeah, so to speak.
Yeah. I like I told you earlier, I was asked multiple times, and it was like,
sure,
no,
sure. Sure.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
I was like with the other guys that were with you. Like,
Right.
no, I'm not doing that. So how'd you get into, fast forwarding anyway? I know you've been around here for a few years training dogs. So
Sure.
how did that all develop?
That developed. I was looking for I was kind of spiraling downhill. Lots of alcohol, all that. Kind of ran the gamut of all that stuff, and came home one day, and my wife was pretty much like, "I'm done." Unless you wanted to get help, try to get some help. That didn't work. And then she used to train dogs for the blind, so she already had kind of a background in somewhat, service dog. And we started talking about that, and she said, "I really think that a dog, would help you." And he did, and he has, and that's kind of where this all started from. This wasn't supposed to be a big. It was supposed to be we were going to try to help 1 or 2 veterans a year, type of thing, maybe every couple years. And there's a lot of guys and gals that need help, so obviously there's a lot more need than what I anticipated. I guess
There's definitely a lot of need, and I know I've seen a lot more service animals over the last few years, and it seems like the willingness for people to go that route, the ability to get it, probably the funding for it, and for a lot of places, like it's just more available.
Sure,
which is great to see.
Sure, absolutely. I think there's a lot more. You've seen a lot more service dogs. There's a lot more help out there. There's also, for every so many people that are doing it right, there's people that are just they're just taking their pet. I mean, they're just buying a vest off Amazon and just throwing it on the dog. And so sometimes service dogs get a bad rap, due to that. But again, I think overall, service dogs are definitely changing lives.
Yeah, there's a big difference there between a service dog and, well, I guess they kind of call them emotional support animal, something like that. It's just buying a vest. They're untrained. I know because of talking to Jeff, it's a lot of time that goes into training, and it's not just training for the dog.
Right. So when I first met Jeff, he asked how long the program was, and I said 2 years. And I mean, he was kind of like, "Are you kidding? 2 years? That's quite a bit." I'm like, "We just want to make sure the dog's trained properly, blah blah." But Jeff's another one, a true test of what a service dog can do. It truly, I mean, his story is phenomenal, and yeah,
absolutely. So what does that training look like for the dog?
So we have
stuff like that.
Yeah, so we have a 3-tiered training, program set up. It basically goes from beginner, intermediate to everything more skilled, and then Freedom Paws, we have our own test. So we put them through the paces, but then we have a test at the very end that we also do, that Freedom Paws trainers have created.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's different on the breed of the dog or the intelligence and the temperament of the dog and all that stuff. But about how many hours does it typically take of training for the actual dog?
300.
300
hours. And I mean, this is that's a good way to put it. I know I've worked with a lot of people that their dogs have 500 or 600 hours in. I mean, it just depends, on the individual and everything. But I mean, 300 hours is the minimum for us.
Yeah, so that's the minimum for you to be certified and all that.
Yes, sir.
I know there's obviously ongoing training.
Tons of training. You're almost constantly training.
Exactly. I mean,
really.
Hey, that's what we should all know and real well from our time in the military, right?
Right. That's right. That's right.
Got to stay sharp. Got to
right.
Stay on top of it. So what about the owner though? Like, because I know Jeff was going through some training and stuff like that as a handler.
There's a lot of it's more or less just making sure that the handler, that the veteran first responder, that they understand what the commands are, what the commands mean, and when to give those commands and when not to. Okay. There's a lot of times, and I know it's a joke kind of around here, but a lot of times even Jeff will joke around about it and say, "I think you spent more time training me than you did the dog." And sometimes we spend a lot of time with people, and that's just that's just the nature of this.
It makes sense. You're taking two untrained beings, a
Yep.
dog and a human, and you're teaching them to really 100% be there for each other, depending on each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, dog's not going to eat without food.
Right.
Be taken care of, vet visits, you know, be pampered in all the way that they should be pampered too, right? Keep in mind, they started off as an untrained, I guess you could call it pet before they get trained.
Sure.
And into a service animal, but they still need, just like we do, that quality of lifetime.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that, you know, sit down and, as Jeff would probably sits there with his dog who's named Wrigley. Go figure, he's a big Cubs fan, right?
Right.
I would not be surprised if Wrigley sits there and watches Cubs games with Jeff.
Oh, I know 100% sure that she does. He's sent me photos of her and him on the couch watching the game.
Doesn't surprise me.
I know they do. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise you. You don't name your dog after a famous baseball stadium,
right?
If you don't sit and watch the games with the dog. So
right.
I just wanted to ask too, like the different breeds and stuff like that. So, is there certain breeds that you train with, or I guess what are the thoughts on, like, what should somebody look for?
Okay, so we're not breed specific, nothing like that. I feel all dogs are great at, you know, certain things. You know, they're just like they're human. They're just like a human is. Certain things you're great at, I'm not going to be great at. So, you know, I would say some of the early things are just getting all of the checks done, all of their OFAs, and you know, you want to make sure that the dogs you're getting they're gonna have the best chance of passing. You know, so we like to have our veterinarians look at the dogs first, you know, kind of give them a once over. And then the other thing is, just at the end of the day, not all dogs are going to make it through. You know, that's the other part of this. It's kind of tough. Kind of makes it tough.
I mean, it's just like basic training and training you go through the military, right? Like, not everybody walking the streets today would be able to make it to that training.
That's right. You know, and then, you know, I mean, we have some vets come in and they don't realize, you know, how, you know, you say it's 300 hours and it could take up to 2 years, but until they're doing this for a while, they're like, man, this takes up a lot of time, you know, and then sometimes it's, you know, they may feel, you know, I don't really need the dog as much as I thought I did. Sometimes it's that, you know, I mean, yeah, it's almost something new every day.
I bet.
Yeah.
So what happens in a case like that? So if a dog's getting trained, is it typical that a handler and a dog come together as a package, or do you go find dogs for people, or how's all that work?
Yeah, essentially when they come to the program, we already have dogs, and then we've already kind of vetted the breeders, and you know, we've had the checkups done and everything. So by the time they come here, we already have dogs here, and then it's just trying to pair them with which one works best with them.
Okay. So what goes into that? Because I'm kind of curious. Because like I told you, I'm not an animal person. So like if I had a dog, it would have to be like short hair, doesn't shed much, doesn't bark much, probably a medium-sized dog instead of a large breed dog, just to fit with my lifestyle. Just as an example. So like, how much of that goes into pairing a dog with
a lot of it? I know a lot of it does. You know, poodles are a breed I honestly have never worked with before now, and I had heard a lot of horror stories, and I'm telling you, they're some of the most intelligent, awesome dogs, but they're also hypoallergenic. So a lot of people, you know, that have difficulty breathing or something, you know, they don't want all the hair, you know, those dogs shed less, you know, and yeah, so it's you got to get the best fit, but at the end of the day, it's like we have to pair you with a dog that's going to help you the most.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious. Of course, bias might come into this a little bit.
No, go ahead, man.
What is there any certain dog breeds that you've trained that you don't think generally make as good of a service dog?
We got to word this correctly. I think with the right trainer, any dog, and it may not be, you know, if you took 3 trainers, they're all going to have 5 different ways to get one task done.
Of course.
So I don't know. Me personally, I thought the hardest dog that we've trained was probably a Mal, because Belgian Mal, it's it's a working breed, and they're high strung, they're amazing, and they're super smart. See, but I said that before, and we just got a Mal probably 5 months ago, and she's amazing. Like I mean, like night and day. The first one, amazing dog, just high energy and wanted to be working all the time. You know,
That makes sense.
and again, that's good for some people. That may be good. Like for this particular guy, it was great. He was a cop in the Air Force as well. Then he did like 20 years as a regular cop. And I mean, he runs with the dog. Keeps up with the dog till he hurt his foot. But yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to put somebody who's
So I guess some people
pounds overweight with a high
dog,
just right. I wouldn't go running with them.
Right. See, you're like, yeah, just like me. See, I'm like, that's a lot, And again, it's but we do try to work with people on what they're looking for and what they need, and then it's kind of up to the team here to decide, well, let's see what we can do.
Okay. I'm sure you kind of see like certain breeds more frequently than
so
others.
Yeah, absolutely. Labradors, that's the majority of dogs that we have are going to be Labradors. We have a couple Poodles. We've trained some Malinois, a couple German Shepherds. That's probably so the program works where we have breeders that donate the dogs. So essentially, it's us reaching out to them and seeing who wants to donate on the next class, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So it comes down to who is donating to us and what breeds they breed.
Gotcha. What's the strangest breed that you've ever trained that you wouldn't think of, probably?
Portuguese Water Dog.
I can't even imagine what that looks like. I'm imagining small.
It's smaller. Yeah, it's smaller. Quite a bit of hair, but it's another one of those hyperallergenic situations. They don't shed a lot. I know she got a bath the other day and came out and literally in like 3 minutes was dry.
Oh my goodness.
So kind of just weird. Yeah, that'd probably be the weirdest dog that I've worked with.
I figured there'd be something when I I'm thinking of like Malinois and Labs.
Sure.
These medium to large breed dogs.
Right.
Like, there's got to be a small one somewhere or something out of left field.
And again, I mean, she's awesome. She is amazing, but definitely, I would have never guessed that'd be a dog we would work with.
Hey, well, there's a ton of breeds out there. You never know what's next, right?
Like I said, it's something new every day, man. I don't know.
So how many dogs are you training at one point in time?
Currently, we have 13.
13. And I take it, since your wife trained dogs for the blind, is she involved in the day-to-day training too?
Day-to-day, she's a school teacher during the day.
Okay, all right.
And then she helps out at night. No, the big thing how this foundation operates is it's all volunteer based. So there's no one getting paid. Everybody's here, but when I tell you this, it's not me. I get thanked all the time. People want to give me all the recognition. It's not me. There's a team of people that volunteer here. They're the ones that do the training. We have trainers that volunteer. They're the ones that do the events. They help us raise money. So without them, like, this thing wouldn't be anything. Seriously.
Awesome. That's good to know. Yep. That's real good to know. And it's awesome to have volunteers too, because when somebody signs up to volunteer for something, they're giving it 100%, and they're
absolutely
their love and their passion into it. So, that's better than, like you said earlier, you kind of hinted at, for every couple of good trainers out there might be some bad ones, and bad apples.
Yeah.
In nonprofits in general, there's good ones and bad ones that some do more and some do less, and so that's a good thing. And I know you guys have built up quite a reputation and a following here locally.
We're trying.
So I know you have those the fundraisers down there at the Poor Brothers.
Absolutely.
I bought my boys a couple shirts. They were actually wearing them. I was wearing your t-shirt, the Air Force symbol t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
The blue one I was wearing literally yesterday.
Awesome.
Actually, when I emailed you the link for today, I was like, oh, ironically, I'm wearing it today.
Right? Yeah. Shout out to Robbie at Poor Brothers. He's always supported these veteran events. I know he supports community as well in a lot of things, but especially when it comes to veterans. He's all in.
Yeah, he's done some stuff for our local honor flight hub there a few times.
That's
I think
awesome.
He's done a few things for some of the service organizations as well. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a great company. So if you're local to Peoria and you happen to listen to this, you got to go down to Poor Brothers and you got to support those guys.
Get out there. I'm telling you, they got everything. Some of the best beer in town.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some ice cold beer. You can't beat that on these nice hot summer days.
That's right.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think that's most of the kind of the questions I had to.
I'll give you one that you didn't ask.
Ahead, absolutely.
A lot of people ask this. It's if they have their own dog, they say, "Do I have to have a professional train my dog for it to be a certified service dog?" And that you do not. You can buy your own dog and train the dog yourself.
How many people do you think are actually doing that?
I think there's more than we think. I mean, I don't have a number on that, but I get asked that question a lot, and I've looked into it, and yeah, there's no, like, you can buy your own dog and do it. The thing is too, is like, it's, some people could do that, and it could possibly help them. I know we have volunteers that puppy raise for us, so that's another part of this, and they kind of see how well this helps, but the dog helps them while they're just puppy raising.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So the 300 hours to train.
Yes, sir.
Is that a law that has to be 300?
Oh no,
no. That's just your.
That's just ours. Yes, sir. Okay. No, sir.
So is there like a legal limit to the amount of training? This is interesting. Thinking about people training their own, like how many hours, and what are they really putting into it?
So I know that the international standard is 300 hours. With 60 hours being public access work. So out in the public, taking the dog to store, taking the dog to dinner with you. So 60 hours of that has to be just doing that alone, of the 300.
Okay. So what kind of places, that's a good question. What kind of places do you go to that are the best for that kind of training?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, to give you a whole list, is there? You mean like, is there any more?
Like, what's the most stressful or one of the best places to test some of that out in the community?
Oh, definitely. So we like going to Poor Brothers in the Heights, because in the summer when it's nice out, there's always people walking by, always people walking through the crowd, and it's just getting the dogs engaged in that everyday lifestyle that veteran, that may be his lifestyle. The other places like going to Walmart. There's a lot of the big box stores are always really good about training in there. Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, those type of stores. I've never had any problems there going to train. And there's plenty of noise and people and kids and everything.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of what you're looking for, is the
absolutely
stay focused on the handler and the task at hand and not get distracted by all the little kids running around.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. I know that's that's what we use, but honestly, most of our people have way more than 300. They have a lot more than 300 hours.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. It doesn't take long to rack.
No, it doesn't.
And I know, I think I've seen on your Facebook page too, pictures of you guys training in Walmart and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Other public places, I'm sure, like the ballpark is good, and downtown.
Anywhere there's noises and where you can get them out and about. We usually have probably 3 times a year. We have the local fire department come over, and we'll have the horns going and all the sirens going. It's just, you got to get it. We're just trying to get them used to everything. So
yeah, just that mass confusion, like basic training, right?
Yeah,
everybody's
absolutely
running around,
right.
screaming, yelling, tossing things, and you gotta stay laser focused.
Right? Yeah, you
gotta be on your game.
That's right, man.
Right. So, and that's awesome. So, should somebody reach out to you for about training or?
Yeah, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us on our website. I see you have that at the bottom. It's freedompawsservicedogs.org. You can reach out to us on Facebook or any of the socials as well. The other way is you can call me or you can text me directly. and my phone number is 309-669-7917.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll have the links and stuff in the show notes for anybody who happens to watch or listen.
This is great.
Yep. So, if somebody wanted just general advice, they could reach out to you too.
Absolutely, yes. So and another thing we do a lot is just going. A lot of times it's just going out to speak at a school, or speak here or speak there, and it's for us, it's just getting the word out. So we love doing that too. If anybody's interested in just having us come and talk to them, sometimes it's a church. We pretty much have gone almost everywhere to speak. So if that's something somebody would be interested.
That's awesome to know. I think that's something good for people to think about too. If you've got a business maybe, or an event or a venue, like for the
Right.
training, especially like where it's going to be busy, reach out to you or any other service dog training
Absolutely.
Nonprofit out there and say, hey,
Yep.
look, I got this going on. Like, open invite, come on out and do your thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So how I just kind of curious too, just popped in my mind. Another question. How do you do any training with the airports and fly?
We do. And no, I was just thinking that's
transportation
funny.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I know Jeff won before, so some Wounded Warrior stuff, and keeping a dog calm on an airplane must be interesting.
It is. We've had that happen more than once. Dogs traveling. We do training out at the Peoria airport. They've been very good about allowing us to come out and walk through the line when they're slow. And again, this is every day, but we try to get out there too as much as possible, because that's where the dogs can really learn the real world of part of this. If the veteran is traveling, we try to do that not until the second tier of training. So the dogs are a little bit older, they're a little bit better,
more paying attention.
More paying attention, yes, sir.
Because you want them they're trying to pay attention to the stressors.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep. And we all know how stressful that is going through airport security. I was trying to think of I'm sitting here thinking of man, where would I want to train a dog at? Where would be the stressful places for me? Like you kind of hit Walmart, the grocery store, waiting in line. Where would you get anxious?
And that's crowds for me is a big one. Like a lot of people, I try to stay away from that stuff as much as possible, but yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
Crowds would be a big one. I know that doesn't really bother me too much unless I'm in the middle of the crowd.
Sure. There you go.
That actually happened at the honor flight a few years ago. They're like, here, grab this bullhorn and go make announcements.
You're like, wait a minute.
I'm fine if I'm floating around people. And
sure. Yeah.
But don't make me put me right smack dab in the center.
Right.
I had somebody with me, and I'm like, I left there, and I'm like, I am never doing that again. I am never putting myself in that situation. So much anxiety.
Oh yeah.
I never thought I had a problem with it, and I was just like, this.
Right.
Not doing that again.
I don't blame you, man.
So but the mission had to happen. It's like volunteering.
Mission first. That's right.
Mission first, get it done. I'll somehow calm down about it later.
Right.
Not the first time that they've, as a volunteer, they put me in a situation I didn't expect over there. But
right.
You run into all kinds. So
yeah. Awesome.
So any other advice or nuggets of information we should know about service dogs?
No, I think that's about it. I said, if you have any questions on service dogs, or if it's just, I don't know if I need a service dog, I don't even that. Just you give us a call. You can email us. Like I said, you can write us on any socials. Or you can go to the website. I know we have a communication link in there too. Awesome. Is there anything off the top of your head that you could think of that somebody maybe shouldn't have a service dog then, based on that question? I just think you have to know that it's a lot of work that goes into it. It's and I know there's places that they train the dog fully and then they pair them. Ours, we require the veteran to come to the training class, so that's kind of the difference there. Yeah, kind of building that rapport earlier, and I think it works better when they're part of the process. Totally makes sense. Yeah. Yep. Now I'm thinking about it like a marriage, it'd be tough to have a good successful marriage if you just kind of met somebody on your wedding day, right? Versus dating for a little while beforehand. Sure. Right. Weird analogy. I got it. Hey, it works, man. It works.
It absolutely works. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Corey, and kind of sharing with us about the service dogs and what you do and kind of what it takes. Because, I really hope that a lot of our veteran brothers and sisters who might need one can take this and say, all right, it's time. Let me reach out to you.
Please reach
Let
out.
me reach out to some other organization, whatever, and figure out how to get the ball rolling.
Please
Because
reach out.
I think it's a difficult thing to look at. Like, nobody, unless it's you and you're in the business, nobody else knows where to start. What to do? Like, how do you do this?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And like I said, any questions, it doesn't matter. The other thing, real quick, is even if you're not from here and you're from Southern Illinois, like a lot of us work together. So we know we can never help everyone, but we're all in this together. So if you're from Southern Illinois, there's a chance we know another business like ours that is running down there. There's another nonprofit, or it's Chicago, Canines for Vets. They're huge. They're great people. That's the other thing. Just because you don't live in Peoria area, don't not reach out. It's still reach out if you have any questions.
Well, at the end of the day, we're just, we're all here to help people.
Absolutely.
Doing it your way, I'm trying to do it my way.
Heck yeah.
Just reach out and communicate, collaborate, make stuff happen.
Absolutely.
So,
well, Keith, I want to thank you again. I truly appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's my goal to educate, inspire our brothers and sisters, to better their life in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just being educated on what service dogs are or somebody taking a leap and making a contact saying,
Sure.
Hey, I want a dog because I want to better my life.
Absolutely.
I want to figure this stuff out and navigate this with less pain and discomfort and anxiety and depression and all that good stuff. So bad stuff, I guess. But,
yes. Well, hey, again, man, this has been great, and keep doing what you're doing as well. I appreciate everything you're doing for our guys and gals out there.
Thank you. So, all right, Corey. Once again, I appreciate it. I'm gonna drop you to the back room and play the outro, but hang around for a minute. I want to pick your brain on something.
Absolutely, man.
All righty.
Bye.
All right, there you go, folks. If you're interested in a service dog, you now know where to reach out. You can find out more resources on my website for all kinds of different things at battlebuddypodcast.net. And if you are struggling, National Suicide Hotline number is 800-273-8255 or text 838-255. And don't forget to go like, share, follow, subscribe to all of our social platforms.